أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ألم تر كيف فعل ربك بأصحاب الفيل؟ ألم يجعل كيدهم في تضليل وأرسل عليهم طيرا عبابيل ترميهم بحجارة من سجيل فجعلهم كعصف مأكول. آمنت بالله صدق الله العظيم وصدق رسوله النبي الكريم ونحن على ذلك من الشاهدين والشاكرين والحمد لله رب العالمين. اللهم صل على محمد كلما ذكره الذاكرون وصل على سيدنا محمد كلما غفل عن ذكره الغافلون وصل على سيدنا محمد في الأولين وصل على سيدنا محمد في الآخرين. اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه. اللهم إنا نسألك علما نافعا ورزقا حلالا طيبا واسعا وعملا صالحا متقبلا. ربنا زدنا علما ربنا زدنا علما ربنا زدنا علما. آمين يا رب العالمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. I hope you all will be all right, inshallah, with the strength of Iman, and I hope that you will be working on these things. You will be reciting Quran on daily basis with meaning, with translation, and sometimes tafsir, inshallah. So, Alhamdulillah, last Sunday, we completed this Surah Quraysh. It was about Quraysh. It was to tell them to worship the one God, to worship the God of Allah, the God of Kaaba, who is providing you with all these favors. And in the similar lines, today we are going to study a surah which is very similar to that Surah Quraysh. I already said in the last meeting, Surah Feel, which we are going to study today, is more similar with uh, this Surah Quraysh, and it has uh, like to some extent same message, but there are some things which we need to understand. So, in order to understand this surah, we have to go back to historical concepts. We have to go back a little back so that we understand what was happening in that era and how was this surah revealed, why was this surah revealed, and what is the main motive of this surah. So today we'll try to understand its background, and in the next class on next Sunday, inshallah, we'll study the ayahs, inshallah. Today we'll just go through its background, like what is happening with this. Surah Fil is 105th surah in the Quran, and as per according to Ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhu, it is it was revealed, like it is the 19th revelation. So feel means, al feel means the elephant. The name itself means the elephant. Why was it named like elephant? Why this name was given to this surah? Because it has an important feature to it. So it has an important significance to it, because there was one guy who came to destroy Kaaba with these elephants. So we'll talk about that. So this surah reminds about the event when the Kaaba was attacked by an army from the southern part of Arabia. But Allah destroyed this army. And Allah is saying in the surah, it is the same God who protected the Kaaba. Now, his message is being presented by Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. His message is being provided by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the surah was revealed when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was in Makkah. It is when the time was fifth year of prophethood. When it was fifth year of prophethood. So this surah has 5 ayahs, and every scholar, all the mufassirun say that it is the Makki surah. Nobody has any other claim. Nobody says that no, it is a Madani surah. So every scholar and all mufassirin have this opinion that this surah is Makki because this was revealed in Makkah when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was in Makkah. So this is going to be a little dry, but it's very important for us to understand what happened, why this surah was revealed, and what happened at that time when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was not born, right? So there was a ruler in Yemen. His name was Abraha. There's a very much historical background. There's a very much history beyond this Abraha and how he came into the power. I don't want to go into that. It's little dry, but I'll take you from when he was ruling the Yemen. Before that also he was a part of army. He was sharing some power in the army, and then he became the ruler of Yemen, and he had some other issues with the ruler of this Negus, with the ruler of this Abyssinia, which is called as Habasha. So he had some issues with him. So he was fully independent in his control, and he celebrated some festivals also there, and he was a Christian. So when he was ruling in Yemen, so he turned his attention to the objective which he had from the very beginning to like to increase the population of Christians. In other words, to spread Christianity in Arabia, and to capture the trade that was carried out through the Arabs between the eastern lands and the Byzantine dominions. I told you last time, last Sunday, this how Quraysh were gathered at one place, and how they were traveling on each sides, and how their trade had flourished on all the sides, and how they were excelling in their professions, in their trades particularly. So he wanted to divert that pilgrimage to Yemen. He didn't like that. He wanted like all the populations, all the Arabs to come to Yemen, not to Makkah. Did you understand? He wanted the pilgrimage, he wanted the population, all the people to go to Yemen instead of Kaaba, instead of Makkah, because it would give business privilege also. It would give it would flourish their trade also, but he wanted it to happen in a different way, in his own way, right? And his motive was to spread Christianity. So what happened is, to achieve this objective, Abraha built in Sana'a is the capital of Yemen. I think it's still the capital of Yemen, Sana'a. He built a magnificent cathedral, which was called by the Arabian historians as Al-Qalis. Or in Greek, it's also called as Ecclesia, church. So, according to Muhammad ibn Ishaq, rahimahullah, so he said that after having completed the building, he wrote to the Negus and saying I shall not rest until I have diverted the Arabs' pilgrimage to it. So his motive is very clear. He wanted that pilgrimage, those people to come to Yemen and serve there and have this pilgrimage done there. And he wanted this business route to be diverted over there, right? So, but Ibn Kasir rahimahullah says that he openly declared his intention in Yemen and got it publicly announced. He says he wanted to provoke the Arabs into doing something which should provide him with an excuse to attack Makkah and destroy the Kaaba. He was waiting for that. Someone should do something and I will have a chance, I will have opportunity, I will have an excuse. Okay, you did something and you left me no option except to destroy the Kaaba. So it's because of you only. So he wanted that excuse, he wanted that opportunity. So he had already provocated them. And Muhammad ibn Ishaq rahimahullah says that an Arab enraged at this public proclamation and somehow he went into the cathedral and desecrated it. Like in simple terms, he urinated in it, right? uh, Ibn Kathir says this was done by a Qurayshi, and according to Muqatil bin Sulaiman, some young men of the Quraysh had set fire to the cathedral. So either might have happened for because Abraha's proclamation was certainly provocative, and in the ancient pre-Islamic age, it cannot be impossible that an Arab or a Qurayshi youth might have been enraged and might have desecrated the cathedral or set fire to it because it was very huge and they knew who Abraha is and they knew his power, they knew his rule. So, whatever happened, when the report reached Abraha that the devotees of the Kaaba had thus desecrated his cathedral, he swore that he would not rest until he had destroyed the Kaaba. So, as I already said, he was trying to have that this excuse. He was looking for an excuse, and he got it, right. So in 570 or 571 CE, he took 60,000 troops and 13 elephants. So there's a difference between 13 elephants. Some say that there were 9 elephants only, but many scholars say that there were 13 elephants. And he set off for Makkah. On the way, first, Yemeni chief, his name was Zunnafar. He tried to resist and he mustered his courage and he gathered an army of Arabs and tried to resist him, but he was defeated and he was taken as prisoner. Then, in the country of Khat'am, he was opposed by Nufail bin Habib al Khat'am with his whole tribe. But he too was defeated and taken as a prisoner. And in order to save his life, he accepted to serve him as a guide in the Arab country. So, when he reached near Taif, Bani Thaqif felt that they would not be able to resist such a big force, and when they felt the danger, he will destroy the temple of their deity, its name was Lat. When they feared that it will happen, their chief, his name was Mas'ud, he came out to Abraha and with his men and he told him that their temple was not the temple he had come to destroy. So the temple he sought was in Makkah and they would send him with a man to guide him there. So Abraha accepted the offer and Bani Thaqif sent a man whose name was Abu Rigal. Abu Rigal. They sent him as a guide with him. So, and when they reach Al Mughammas, there was it's a place which is about 3 miles short of Makkah. He died. This Abu Rigal died, and um, this according to Muhammad ibn Ishaq rahimahullah, from Al Mughammas, Abraha sent forward his vanguard, and they brought him the plunder of the people of Tihama and Quraysh. Now it's very interesting. So he brought that plunder of people of Tihama and Quraysh, which included 200 camels of Abdul Muttalib. Who was Abdul Muttalib? Abdul Muttalib was the grandfather of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Right? It's very interesting. So then he sent an envoy of his to Makkah with the message that he had not come to fight the people of Makkah, but only to destroy the Kaaba, but only to destroy the house of Allah. If they offered no resistance, there would be no cause for bloodshed. Abraha also instructed his envoy that if the people of Makkah wanted to negotiate, he should return with their leading chief to him. So, the leading chief of Makkah at that time was Abdul Muttalib. The envoy went to him and delivered Abraha's message. Like, these are the conditions. If you resist, then I'm going to destroy you also. I have no, I don't want to destroy you. I don't want to kill you. But I want to destroy your place of worship. I want to destroy Kaaba. So if you resist, then you see my army is very big and I have elephants. I have 60,000 troops. So it's going to be very disastrous for you. So I'm giving you this option. So Abdul Muttalib replied to his envoy, to his messenger, that we have no power to fight Abraha. This is Allah's house. If He wills, He will save His house. It was clear-cut answer. And somebody would say that, how can he say that? Why didn't he protect? Because they had great iman on Allah. They were knowing that Allah will save it. Allah will save it. So the envoy asked him to go with him to Abraha. He agreed and accompanied him to the king. Now, Abdul Muttalib was such a dignified and handsome man that when Abraha saw him, he was awestruck. He was much impressed. He got off his throne and sat beside him on the carpet. Then he asked him what he wanted. Abdul Muttalib replied that he wanted the king to return his camels and which he had taken. Abraha asked him, what do you want? Abdul Muttalib replied, you have taken 200 camels from me, so I want them. So this Abraha got infuriated. He said, man, I was much impressed when I saw you, but your reply has brought you down in my eyes. You only demand your camels, but you would say nothing about this house, which is your sanctuary, which is the sanctuary of your forefathers. Abdul Muttalib replied, see, I am the owner of my camels, and I am requesting you to return them. As for the house, it has its own owner, and I believe he will defend it. When Abraha said that he would not be able to defend it against him, Abdul Muttalib said that rested between you and him. So, with this, Abdul Muttalib left Abraha and he was returned his camels. So, one thing which becomes evident is that the tribes living in and around Makkah did not have the power to fight such a big force and save the Kaaba. Therefore, the Quraysh did not try to put up any resistance. The Quraysh, on the occasion of the Battle of Trench Ahzab, had hardly been able to muster strength numbering 10 to 12,000 men in spite of the alliance with the disbelievers and Jewish tribes. They could not have resisted an army that is 60,000 strong. So you can imagine. Muhammad ibn Ishaq rahimahullah says that after returning from the camp of Abraha, Abdul Muttalib ordered the Quraysh to withdraw from the city and go to the mountains along with their families for the fear of a general massacre. Then he went to the Kaaba along with some chiefs of the Quraysh and taking hold of the iron ring of the door. Then he prayed to Allah to protect his house and its keepers. And that time there were around 360 idols in and around the Kaaba. But at that moment, at that critical moment, they forgot them and implored only Allah for help. They invoked Allah only. That time also, they invoked Allah only for help. Their supplications, their du'as, which have been reported in the books of history, do not contain any name but for Allah, the One. And Ibn Hisham, rahimahullah, in his book that's on Sirah, Life of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he has cited some verses of Abdul Muttalib, which are very important. He said, "O Allah, a man protects his house, so protect your house. Let not their cross and their craft tomorrow overcome your craft. If you will to leave them and are qibla to themselves, you may do as you please." And there were some other scholars. They said that he Abdul Muttalib verbally said that, help today your devotees against the devotees of the cross and its worshippers. And after making these supplications, after making these duas, Abdul Muttalib and his companions also went off to the mountains. Next morning, Abraha prepared to enter Makkah. It's important. You should remember it. Next morning, Abraha prepared to enter Makkah, but his special elephant Mahmud, which was in the forefront, knelt down. It knelt down. It didn't go ahead. It was a special elephant. It was beaten with iron bars. This elephant, goaded, even scarified, but it would not get up. It didn't get up. When they made its face south, north, or east, it would immediately start off. But as soon as they directed it towards Makkah, it knelt down. So you can see the miracles, and you can see how these animals are also muwahid. They also knew that something is wrong, and we cannot go against it. Right? In the meantime, swarms of birds appeared carrying stones in their beaks and claws and showered these on the troops. And whoever was hit would start disintegrating. According to Muhammad ibn Ishaq and Ikrimah rahimahullah, they say that this was smallpox which was seen in Arabia for the first time in that year. Ibn Abbas says that whoever was struck by a pebble would start scratching his body, and it would result in breaking of the skin and falling off the flesh. So it was that that dangerous, because those pebbles were being thrown by the swarms. And This in another narration, Ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhu says that the flesh and blood flowed like water, and bones in the body became visible. And the same thing happened with Abraha too. His flesh fell in pieces, and there arose boars on his body, emitting pus and blood. So what happened is there was a chaos in the army when they saw these things happening, and when they saw what is happening to their fellow soldiers, fellow army men, then there was a chaos. So in that chaos, they withdrew and fled towards Yemen. Nufail bin Habib, whom they had brought as guide from the country of Khat'am, was searched out and asked to guide them back to Yemen. But he refused and said, no, no, now where can one flee when Allah pursues? The split nose, they called him Abraha as split nose, is the conquered, not the conqueror. So as they withdrew, they were continually falling by the bay and dying. And Atta bin Yasar says that all the troops did not perish at the spot. Some perished there, and others perished by the wayside as they withdrew. And Abraha died in the country of Khat'am. So Mufassirun say that this event took place at Muhasir by the Muhasib Valley between Muzdalifah and Mina. So this, according to Muslim and Abu Dawood, in the description of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's this farewell pilgrimage, that Imam Ja'far as-Siddiq has related from his father. So he says that when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam proceeded from Muzdalifah to Mina, he increased his speed in the valley of Muhassir. Imam Nawawi says that the incident of the people of the elephant, the Ashab al-Fil, had occurred there. Therefore, the pilgrims have been commanded to pass by it quickly, for Muhasir is a tormented place. This is the place where that torment happened. This is the place where Abraha and his army was destroyed. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says that in Muwatta of Imam Malik, he says that whole of Muzdalifah is a place fit for staying, but one should not stay in the valley of Muhassir. Yeah, right. So I told you in the beginning that we'll try to cover its background today, and we are going through the background. So it would seem to you as something boring, but it's very important for us to understand this important surah. So this was such a momentous event that it soon spread throughout Arabia, and many poets made it the subject of their poems. And in these poems, one thing is quite evident, that everyone regarded it as a manifestation of Almighty Allah's miraculous power, and no one said that the idols which were worshipped in the Kaaba had anything to do with it. For example, Abdullah ibn Az-Zibara says that the 60,000 returned not home, nor did their sick man Abraha survive on return. Ad and Jurhum were there before them, and there's Allah above the servants who sustains it. And Abu Qais bin Aslat, he says that rise and worship your Lord, and uh, anoint the corners of the house of Allah between the mountains of Makkah and Mina. When the help of the owner of the throne reached you, his armies repulsed them so that they were lying in dust, pelted with stones. And Rasulullah says that the Quraysh did not worship anyone but Allah, the only and one, for 10 years, according to others, for like some say that 7 years. So this year, when this event happened, the Arabs describe this year as the year of the elephants, Am al-Fil. And in the same year, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was born. In the same year. And the scholars, particularly of Hadith, they say that the event of the people of this elephant, this Ashab al-Fil, had occurred in Muharram. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was born in Rabi al-Awwal. They say that majority of the scholars say that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was born 50 days after the event of the elephant. So, for example, it happened on first day of a month. After that event, after 50 days of that event, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was born. So we can say that this was actually a message. This was actually a point where this was told to them that there will be a new messenger now. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was born after 50 days of this event. So this event happened on one day, like on, they say that in Muharram, then in Rabiul Awal, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was born. And in Rabiul Awal also, we are not sure about the dates. Some people say that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was born on 12 Rabiul Awal. No, like most of the scholars say that it's not true. So it's not true. So we are confused with the dates. So so we should not go into that. So this was the background of this uh, important surah, and it has a good connection with Surah Quraysh. So this incident of the elephant was related to what happened to the tribe of the Quraysh, and Surah Quraysh was about the Quraysh, how they gained the power, how they gained the privilege, how they had all the trade routes flourished, and how they had all the routes, these trade routes open for all of them. So Allah is talking about here, Allah is talking about how He has saved you, not those idols, not those 360 idols. It was Allah who saved you, and it was Allah only whom you invoked. Where did they go? They invoked Allah only. They said, Ya Allah, it is your house. We can't protect it. So please protect it. Please protect our place of worship. They said it. They supplicated to Allah. So, and this surah impresses upon that fact only. If you invoked Allah at that time only, and only Allah saved you that time also, why don't you worship Him? What are the barriers of you being you worshipping Him? What is that is creating barriers between you and Him? Why don't you worship Him, who saved you that time and who is saving you that time? And in Surah Quraysh also, who is giving you all these things, who is favoring with you with all these things? So why don't you worship Him? So why you're not taking these 360 idols out? You have just made this place of worship, made this Kaaba a burden of 360 idols. Why don't you take them out? So this happened after the conquest of Makkah, when these idols were destroyed, all of them, and they were taken out of this blessed and sacred house of Allah, Kaaba. So this was a brief introduction of, not, I'll not say a brief introduction, it was an introduction of this important surah. And on next Sunday, we'll carry forward, inshallah, with the ayahs. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك